my name is Tori. This is Nova Life. Welcome back to my channel, and welcome to the start of a brand new reading vlog. So I am so excited to vlog the historical fiction readathon that I am co-hosting with Christy from Christy Reads a Lot. So we have done a historical fiction readathon previously in September, and we thought, why not do one for the summer? So in July, we're reading historical fiction books all this month. It is Monday. I'm so excited. It's the first day. People are already tagging me in their TBRs. They're already tagging me in books they finished, all of that stuff. So we do have templates and all of that stuff, and I'm pretty sure, like I'm 99% sure, that the books that I have picked out for my TBR meet the prompts. So I'm gonna go through my TBR really quickly that I have for this week. I only picked like 4 or 5 books, and they're pretty short, but I wanted to keep it pretty light for me because my reading has been weird. So this is my TBR. I picked books off of my shelves that I'm very excited for. So the first one is actually the group book, and that is A Promise to Arlette by Serena Burdick. I was actually sent this from Atria as an art copy. It came out on June 17th, so it's a new release, but it is set in the 1950s, and it's about a couple, and I think the female character, she finds a photograph of someone that she's lost and loved in the war, Arlette. So I don't know if it's like her piecing together stuff. I don't know. I've never read anything by this author, but I'm very excited. For the prompts, it'll check off read the group book, read a historical fiction set in the country you live in, and read a historical fiction set in the 1950s, because that is all 3 of those. So I'm very excited for this one. The next one I have is The Scholar in the Last Fairy Door by H.G. Perry. So this is a historical fantasy. So it is set in 1920 Cambridge, so in England, and I guess our characters are finding out about something that happened, a deadly fairy attack that happened in World War I, and she's there to find a cure for her brother, and she catches the eye of Alden and his friends, but she's at this secret magical academy. So it's very interesting. I'm very excited. The audiobook came in. It's a little bit on the longer side, but I have high hopes. I love historical fantasies. Like the ones that I've read that I've really loved, I've like really loved. So I'm hoping that this is going to be a hit, but this will also tick the box of read historical fantasy. So that's this one. The next one I have is Diva by Daisy Goodman. So this is about, oh my gosh, what is her name? Maria Callas. So there was actually a movie that came out recently with Angelina Jolie where she played Maria Callas, who was like this opera singer. But in this book, it talks about her love of like a gangster, an American gangster, something like that. I could be totally wrong. Something about something he's in the mafia or something like that. And she is raised in Nazi-occupied Greece. Obviously, it's about World War II during that time. This will tick off for read a book from your library. While I do have the physical book, I have the audiobook through my library, so that's going to be that one. I thought this one was longer than 300 pages, but I think The Scholar at the Last Fairy Door could count for that. But I also have this historical romance, and I haven't read a historical romance in so long, but it is Falcon on the Wind by Shelley Thacker. So I didn't know I actually had this book. I like totally forgot that I had this like old school copy historical romance, but this is Christy. She also runs a book club with Jess and Samantha. They have a historical Hellions book club where they read like historical romance set, I think before 2000. That came out before 2000, I should say. And this one came out in 1991. Now this one technically is over 350 pages, so it'll count for that, and the read a historical romance, which I'm very excited about. The newly updated book, I guess, it's on Kindle Unlimited, so I don't know if I'll physically read this because I don't know if like a lot of things have changed, but the ebook is actually on Kindle Unlimited. She like updated the cover and all that stuff, which I actually think is really cool. So that is that one. And the last one I have, I don't physically own. I thought I did, but it is The Cuban Heiress by Chanel Cleaton. So I have the audiobook from my library for this one. This counts for Read a Host a Book Rec. So I've read Chanel Cleaton's historical fiction in the past. I've read The Last Train to Key West. I've read The Next Year in Havana, The Most Beautiful Girl in Cuba. And I want to catch up on Chanel Cleaton's backlist because I haven't read a historical fiction book by her in a really, really long time. And so I have this one and another book in the Perez family series on hold, but I think I'm going to try and get to The Cuban Heiress because it's on the shorter side and it's more like a standalone. So I have that one from my library, but I know Christy loves all of Chanel Cleaton's books. She's like gone through her whole backlist, so I know she loves them. I think I'm gonna start the audiobook of the Chanel Cleaton one because that's the one I'm most interested in. So this one is a standalone. It's 1934. A luxury cruise becomes a fight for survival as 2 women's paths collide on a round-trip voyage from New York to Havana, Cuba. Oh, it's inspired by the true story of the SS Morro Castle. I'm very excited to get this vlog started. That was a very long intro. Let's go ahead and dive right in. I'm gonna get back to work, have some lunch, because it is the middle of the day. I hope you come along with me for this week and we read historical fiction books. So it is Monday night, it's 10 p.m. We just got done with our first reading sprint of the historical fiction readathon, which was so fun. I had Mochi in here. As you could tell, she was parkouring off the futon that I'm sitting on. So the little blanket is all messed up. Misi was in here. She was running back and forth between my husband's office and my office. So she was having a fun time, and literally after 2 hours of reading sprints, I go into my husband's office and she is just curled up in the middle of the floor, laid out and sleeping. She needed to nap. Like, she wore herself out running back and forth, which was so cute. I have an update for you. So I did start the Cupid Heiress by Chanel Clayton today while I was working. That's my audiobook. So I'm like 34%, 35% through that one. And it's so far going okay. It is kind of confusing because we're following two different we're following two different women. And it's kind of confusing because they both have men that are like not interested in them, but like men in the picture that is helping them with whatever. So I'm kind of like, when we go back and forth from the points of view, I'm kind of confused because it does switch kind of quickly. I like Catherine's point of view and her storyline a little bit better, because there's more mystery with her, like what she's doing and stuff like that. I think it's Catherine. Watch, I'm gonna get them confused. So yeah, I will definitely continue listening to that while I work tomorrow, which I'm very excited for. I don't have a bookmark, so I just used the flap, but I've got 82 pages in, so that far into the scholar at the last fairy door, and literally like the first 50 pages are a little slow because it's just her being friends with these other 3 people that are at this university and stuff like that. And literally in our second sprint, so it was like right after 50 pages, that's when we finally dived into all of like the magic stuff of what happened. So the whole premise is, it's very different from what the blurb says. It's like a lot more expansive considering it's historical fantasy, but basically our female character, she is at this college to basically learn magic, fairy magic, and learn about it, how to use it, how to wield it, all of that stuff. And you see that she's doing it because her brother Matthew came home from World War I and he was hit by fairy magic, and he like has these scars and stuff like that. It looks like silver bark, and so like that magic is still kind of alive in him, and it's like feeding off of him. So it's interesting, but I will say that the whole premise of it being set in 1920s in England, it's interesting the way that they describe how World War I ended, but basically France, Germany, and England were involved, and a German soldier basically opened up a fairy door, which was common at that time, opened up a fairy door, and usually when fairies come through, there's runes in front of the fairy door, so they're trapped, like runes on the floor. So it's one for the caster, one for the fairy, and when the fairy comes through, they get trapped there, and they can't move, they can't escape. Well, when this German soldier, in the middle of battle and all this stuff like that, cast and opened up this fairy door, the runes failed, which means that these fairies just came like flying through the door and they weren't stopped. So not only, it wasn't just like France and England versus Germany, it was like at this point when the war got so bad and like Germans were, you know, being like bombarded and stuff like that in the trenches, this one soldier thought that he didn't have any other choice but to open up a fairy door and see if he could, you know, bargain with the fairy, probably to get himself out of the war because he wanted to leave. So that's what kind of like the professors have told her, and they find it interesting. So she's trying to figure out how to open up a fairy door. But since that time, like in 1911, 12, whenever the war ended, since then, fairy magic has not been taught. So that's where it comes in, where she's trying to access the library and see if there's any books and stuff like that. And her 2 friends, or 3 friends, but 2 of them in particular, the guy that she first meets, like comes from a wealthy family and she's just on a scholarship, and she's like, I know there's a reason why he's talking to me, like there's no reason why he would invite me and meet his friends and stuff like that. So I think he also has an ulterior motive to trying to figure out fairy magic, like she's trying to figure out fairy magic, but she told them about her brother. So like trying to figure out what his ulterior motive is. So it's a little interesting in that way. I do like how the war played into it at that point, because not only do you have soldiers that died from battle, like human battle, you have like, you know, I think they said like 300 soldiers or something was hit by fairy magic and they died, and you know, all this stuff like that. So I find it now just getting interesting. Now I'm like, okay, I wish I started the book before sprints, and because it was very slow, but I'm going to go take a shower and stuff, and I'm gonna lay down in bed and I'm gonna read and listen to a little bit more of this. But I did get the audiobook for A Promise to Arlette. I have the audiobook for Diva, and so my only other physical read is the historical romance by Shelley Thacker, which I'm kind of excited for. So that's my updates. I'm gonna go get ready for bed, and I will talk to you guys in the morning. Hello, happy Tuesday, happy day 2 of the readathon. It is 8 o'clock at night. I work late, so I finally got a chance to pause everything and update you because I finished a book, and I finished The Cuban Heiress. I really love Chanel Clayton's writing. Like, that's not where, I'm not gonna argue that. I really love her writing. With this one, I don't know where it lands in the publication order, but I will say that I've read most of the Perez family. I think there's 5 books in that series, if I'm not mistaken. And I kind of wish I would have went with the other Perez family book that I had taken out from my library. I kind of wish I would have went with that one because I felt like I would like it better. Now this one is about, I feel like a little bit more of like a mystery, a historical mystery, like historical fiction for sure, but more leaning into like the mystery part of it. And I don't particularly like that. Like, that's not my favorite because I don't like to like try and piece things together. I will say I don't mind it. It was more suspensey. That's what I could say. So like, I like romantic suspense if it's like written by Catherine Cowles, Victoria Wilder. Like, I have like caveats, right? And I feel like with this one, it has like a little suspense. So it's like historical fiction, but like suspensey, if that makes sense. Anyway, so you're following like these 2 women, and I don't want to say anything. I feel like it's gonna be a spoiler, but it's set 1930s. I didn't know anything about like this cruise thing, but basically it sinks. There's a fire on board and it sinks. And I was like, oh shit. It was giving Titanic vibes at the end, and I actually low-key really liked it. So that kind of bumped my rating up from a 3 to a 3.5 star. So yeah, I'm landing at a 3.5 star for this one. Like, I didn't hate it at all. I was still very much engaged. I just wish there was a little bit more actual like fiction-y part, like historical fiction part, other than this cruise that supposedly like it's based on like a real life happening situation where like a boat caught fire with all these people and yada yada yada. So I wish there was just a little bit more of like, with her Perez family series, it's like about the Cuban Revolution or like a time period where there's like a lot of historical like aspects, and that was kind of like, why? Fine, it's whatever. I landed at a 3.5 star, which isn't bad. I'm not mad about that one. I have not gotten any farther in this book because this is my book that I was going to sit down and read tonight, but I am gonna make some graphics at my computer, which means I can sit and listen to this audiobook if I'm not doing like heavy stuff work-wise. I can listen to like this kind of audiobook. I just slow it down for myself. So I will definitely read that and then continue reading in bed whenever I take a shower and lay down for bed. That'll be my reading time. I did grab the audiobook actually from Libro FM. If you don't know this, Libro FM has this program. Before I talk about this is the book I'm reading next. Anyway, Libro FM has a program. It's $15.99 a month or $14.99 a month. It's very similar to Audible, the prices, and you get 1 credit a month. And basically you can pick an indie bookstore, and like when you purchase an audiobook, that purchase goes to that indie bookstore. So I have like my closest local indie romance bookstore. I use those, like I'm attached to that one. So basically they had a special, and I'll link it in the description box for you for Libro FM. I'm pretty sure I have a referral code with them, but if you sign up for your first month, you get 3 credits for the price of 1 month. So I did that, and I actually really like it. A lot of my library books that like the holds are too long, like this one, the hold is like months for this book, and only one of my library cards has it. I bought the audiobook. Well, I got it through Libro FM, so it's like a win-win. You're supporting like an indie bookstore, but also at the same time, like I feel like you get like better price, because with Audible credits, I always hoard my credits, because I would always just buy audiobooks that are exclusive to Audible, and most of the time I just download it in KU and then I get it for only $7.50. So why would I spend a credit for an audiobook that I can get for $7.50? Do you know, does it make sense? Anyway, I put my Audible subscription on hold because I have 1 credit that's just sitting there. But I didn't want to cancel it because you can still use your credit while you are, like, your subscription is on hold. So come September, depending on how I like it, I might just cancel my Audible subscription. And you can still use WhisperSync even though if you don't have like an Audible Plus subscription. So anyway, all that to say, I'm going to be starting this audiobook tomorrow with work. I'm hoping to get through at least a decent chunk of the Scholar at the Last Fairy Door, so I can start this in the morning because I can listen to that while I work, but just do some graphics, which is pretty fun for me. And that's all I got. I'll talk to you guys later. I have a little bit of a reading update for you guys. I'm sitting in my bedroom. All this skincare is right here. I just did a Patreon exclusive video where I talk about my favorites, hair, skin, like skincare stuff, makeup stuff for the middle of the year, because I did a mid-year check-in, and a lot of my patrons were like, hey, I actually want to see your favorite makeup stuff a lot of the time, because I do get, oh, hi, I have a guest. Baby Mochi. She's back and she's terrorizing everything, right? You want to explore, I know. She's so tiny. She's almost 8 weeks old. She's 7.5 weeks old. She's exploring. She's doing great. She's a big girl now. She thinks she can do everything. She can't, but that's what she thinks. Anyway, so I have that video going up at some point on my Patreon, but I wanted to give you a reading update because I have reading sprints with Christy tonight. I have to go finish dinner, so it's going to be a fast. Last night, well, yesterday, I should say, I got 60% into the Scholar and the Last Fairy Door. I feel conflicted about this book, honestly. I feel conflicted because there are some things that I like, but this is a character-driven kind of historical fantasy. And not that I'm minding it, but there are periods where it is slightly boring. And I compared this to Divine Rivals because it's very similar with like the fantasy and stuff like that. I look down because Mochi's on the floor by my feet. I compared that, and I think when it gets slower with the character development in like Divine Rivals, the plot picks up because there's a lot more stuff going on. And with this, we actually just time jumped like 6 years, and I was like, whoa. Why did we time jump? Like, why? Like, I get it, but like, why at that moment? So I have 30% left. 40, what is 40? 60% minus 100 is 40. Math. Hard. So yeah, I have 40% of the way through of this. I'll probably read this on reading sprints, but like with Christy tonight, but I feel conflicted. Like I don't mind it. There are parts where I'm like really intrigued, but there's parts where I can like kind of zone out and it's not super intriguing, if that makes sense. So yeah, this one's interesting. Another interesting book that I started today is our group pick, which is A Promise to Arlette. So I am, what is that, 20% of the way through? And it's interesting. It's a lot heavier. I don't know how much I can say. She finds a photograph, and this photograph opens up like all these memories from World War II. It was 1950s. So like you see her husband, they're living life. Her husband knows that she has some secrets. They got married when they were in, I think, France, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they got married in France, and when he came home, he actually had someone waiting that he was like involved with. And I find it interesting because she is dealing with that in the 1950s, but then when we get into that plot of like the now in the 1950s, she is like transported, or the time jumps back to like her in France during that, is it France during that time? Or is it just with her father? Her father is something else, I'll tell you that. Like, I do not like him in the slightest, I'll tell you that. No, I think this is in America because they have American like stuff. Anyway, so yeah, we time jumped to 1938 and through 1940, and that's what the time that we're telling. And you see more of like her family dynamic. You see Mochi, more of her family dynamic, and I'm like, I mean, it's harsh. I just got to chapter 17. We go back in time at like chapter 7, so 10 chapters, and it literally just started to talk about the looming war in France. Like, there's no war in France, but they're talking about Germany invading Poland at that time. So it's like interesting, but once again, I can find myself checking in and out because it's like trying to be character develop me, but I'm also very intrigued by the historical stuff. So I'm like, I just don't know where this is going yet. It's still too early to tell like where this is going and what's happening. So anyway, I'm gonna go do reading sprints with Christy. I don't know how far I'm gonna get. I don't know. I'm hoping to finish maybe one book, but I'm like pretty far into The Scholar and the Last Fairy Door, that maybe I'll finish that tonight. Anyway, I don't know if I'll update you later tonight or if it'll be tomorrow, but baby Mochi is attacking my feet. Miko is barking at something, and that is my cue to go. Anyway, I will talk to you guys when I finish a book, and hopefully it's gonna be a higher than a 3.5 star read. Fingers crossed. Hello, it is late. It is 10 p.m. I was just packing some stuff for giveaways that I did over on my Patreon, and I was listening to this audiobook. I cleaned my makeup brushes, I put laundry away. I was very, very, very productive today while I was finishing the audiobook for A Promise to Arlette. I will say this, I literally just finished it like a minute ago. Like, I was waiting to turn on the camera to tell you guys this. I actually got through 20% when I updated you yesterday, and I was like, cool, I'll listen to it tomorrow. And I started listening, and I was like, I feel like I missed something, because I was like, Arlette is this like mysterious person to Ida, like she's intrigued by her, and I was just kind of confused. So I went back a couple of chapters actually and re-listened, and I was like, oh, you're supposed to feel that way. So this whole story is very interesting, and I actually read, now this is the arc from Atria, but the editor did a little like note at the beginning of this arc, and it basically says the inspiration behind this story started with a photograph that Man Ray took of Serena's grandmother, Serena as in the author, who was one of his muses. Serena wrote this novel to understand how artists could continue to create during World War II and after, and how their subjects and work changed over time. So I actually found this book, while it's relatively short, it's 300 pages. It's actually very like intriguing and powerful, and it took me a while to realize that. So I'm landing at like a 4.5 star, because the beginning, that first 20%, I'm still like, is it supposed to be slow because it's supposed to be slow, because you're supposed to like be intrigued and like the mystery and like all of this stuff like that, or is it slow just because of the writing? Now, this is not a debut book. She has wrote countless books. She's wrote The Girls with No Names, The Stolen Book of Evelyn Aubrey, Find Me in Havana, Girl in the Afternoon. So she knows a lot. 1930s, you see her and her parents, how they had a falling out, how she gets to where Arlette is in Paris, and how like this art scene in Paris, France, and how she gets to the chateau, which is Arlette's chateau that she's lived in, and it's like passed down from her family, and she's Jewish, and you see how over time how the Jews are like slowly starting to be like weeded out in places. Like, it goes through from when Germany invaded Poland, and it goes from there. And it's really interesting how people in France are just like letting all this stuff happen, and it's so just like relevant now. It's like how easy it is to go with your day-to-day life and just like not really think about what's going on until it's right in front of you. And so that's why I really love historical fiction, because you can draw parallels from past to present and anything and all of that stuff. So that's why, like, a little rant of why I personally love reading historical fiction. I'm also like, I love history. I majored in political science, so like I love history and all those things. So yeah, I just found this really interesting. I don't want to say too much of that because it is this like mystery and stuff like that, but our female character Ida, she really goes through things while she's at the chateau, and her like her relationship with Arlette as like this, she looks up to her, but she also has this like controlling, Arlette is like controlling in this way that's not like necessarily unhealthy, but it like borders that, and it's just like so interesting. And then you see Sydney, who is now her husband, in the 1950s, and how their story started back in like the 30s and 40s, or the 40s in the chateau. Like, it is just so much, and I loved it. Like, the ending, did not see that coming. So yeah, I really love this. I'm landing it at a 4.5 star. Now, I do have some book mail, but before I do that, I actually wanted to give you an update on what I'm picking up next. So I probably will start physically reading. I don't know if I'm going to physically start this tonight or tomorrow. I haven't decided, but Falcon on the Wind by Shelley Thacker. I'm not reading this book. I'm going to read the ebook, which is His Stolen Bride. It's around the same amount of pages. It says it's 350 on Kindle, and this is 380-ish. But the author did come back and say, like, she came out and she said, I re-released this book, and it's edited more and all that stuff, because this was published in like 1991. Yeah, 1991. So a very long time, over 30 years, like 35 years. So almost 35 years. So she edited that. So I'm going to read that on my Kindle because it's available in KU. And the only other book that I had on my TBR was Diva. And while I'm still intrigued by this one, actually Christy recently read a book that she cried in and she loved. And it's called The Woman on Platform 2 by Laura Anthony. So it's available in Kindle Unlimited, but I got the audiobook through Libra.fm because I love audiobooks. And so this is 1970s in Dublin, where all forms of contraception are strictly forbidden, but a group of women will risk everything to change that. So she said that she was crying about this and like just all of this stuff. So it takes place in the 70s and then in Dublin 2023. So I guess it's like a past to present, but she said it was amazing. She said that she cried. It's 335 pages. So I'm going to pause I'm going to pause on Diva. Not that like I don't want to pick this up, I do, but that one I'm really intrigued by, and usually if Christy rates something high, I also rate something high. So I'm riding the high after this one. Like, I want a really good book, so I'm really excited for that. So that's my reading update. I only technically have those 2 books that I need to finish because I was only going to finish 5 this week. I will maybe squeeze in Diva if I can. Like, it's only Thursday night. I keep thinking it's Friday for some reason. Like, I keep thinking it's a day ahead, but I have all day Friday, all day Saturday, and then partially Sunday because I want my vlog to go up. I wanted to show you some book mail that I got. So I got this. It is Aardvark book box. Or book club, sorry, Aardvark book club. And I actually did a sponsored video for them a couple of months ago where they reached out and they wanted me to try it. I actually read The Scholar in the Last Fairy Door in this vlog. That book I just finished. The book I just finished last night actually came from that Aardvark box. I have another one that's on my 25 books to read in 2025. My audiobook is still like on hold. It's been on hold since like February or something like that. And I forgot the other book. Oh, an Allison Saft book that I got that I just haven't gotten to yet. So I reached out to them. I was like, hey, do you guys have like an influencer program that I can like subscribe to or like, you know, apply to or anything like that? And they actually came back and they were like, oh, we do have like a rep referral program. So this video is not sponsored, but I do have a code if you want, for US only, if you want to try out Aardvark. So I thought it was really cool. You can pick up to 3 books. And it comes to you monthly, and it's very similar to other book boxes that you get, but it's like they have different genres that you can pick from, and they have it like just like separated by different things. So the books, I'm going to show you the books that I got. They're all hardbacks too. So basically you can pick up to 3 books. You can skip if you don't like any of the picks, but they have like romance, historical fiction, thriller, horror, like tons of stuff, fantasy, sci-fi, all that stuff. You can skip it any time. Pick up to 3 books. I do have a code, Novel Life. It gets you $4 off your first book box. So if you want to try it out, the link is down below. Like I said, it's not a sponsored video. It's just something that I have. I'm actually very excited for these picks. So I picked this one, which you may be surprised. It is a cozy kind of fantasy, I think. Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping by Sangu Mandana. She wrote The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches, which I did want to read anyway, but this is a whimsical, heartwarming novel about a witch who has a second chance to get her magical powers and her life back on track. So it just seemed really cute. I also like it because their like thing matches the cover, so like sometimes you can't even tell where it's at. And then it's really, the hardbacks are really pretty. So yeah, I don't know. I thought this was really cool. They actually had a lot of picks for July. I don't even know what August is going to be, but I'm very excited. So this will be like a fall book. Also, I love the cover. So that's one of them. I actually got this historical fiction, so maybe I'll read this. I don't know. I loved this cover. Blood on Her Tongue. I don't know. I thought it was horror for a second, but they did say it's like gothic Gothic historical fiction. So, Netherlands, 1887, Lucy's twin sister Sarah is unwell. She refuses to eat, mumbles nonsensically, and is increasingly obsessed with centuries-old corpses recently discovered on her husband's grand estate. The doctor has diagnosed her with temporary insanity caused by a fever of the brain. To protect her twin from a terrible fate in a lunatic asylum, Lucy must unravel the mystery surrounding her sister's condition, and it's clear that she's hiding something. But Lucy's also harboring secrets of her own. Sarah's behavior takes a turn for the strange. She becomes angry and hungry. I'm very intrigued. This will definitely be a fall book, but like I said, the little thing is here, so it's like not like super annoying in your face. And it has a really cool, I like their hardbacks. They're like matte. Really like their hardbacks. They're like matte, and I don't know, they feel really good. Not like weird. Even their dust jackets are. So they're like really heavy, hefty books. And then the last one I got, I'm actually very excited for. It is Left of Forever by Tara DeWitt. I actually put this on a 5-star predictions for my Patreon, but what was cool is that this is signed by Tara DeWitt. I don't think I've never really read something by Tara DeWitt, or if I have, I don't know. She's just an author I really want to try out, because apparently this is like a second chance when their son goes off to college. They like reconnect or something. So my friend Jess read this and really loved it, so I wanted to give it a try. I have the audiobook, but I saw this and I was like, it's signed too, which is really cool. That's cool. They give you just like a members challenge that you can post about. They give you these like really cool bookmarks that are super cute. I love aardvark. Like I said, I worked with them in the past and I do love them. So I'm so excited that I have like a code for you guys if you want to just get some money off, if you want to try it. If you do, let me know. Like I said, this is not sponsored. I'm just throwing it out there because this box was delivered. I'm very excited. So anyway, that is my reading update. I'm so sorry it was so long, but I did get some really fun book mail and I'm excited about that. But I'm gonna go so I can get ready for bed and snuggle up and start my next historical fiction book. I have to update my Instagram templates. I'm loving seeing what everyone's reading too. So yeah, I'm gonna go. That's all I have, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. It's Friday tomorrow, and we have made it through the week. It's been a long week, but it's been a good week. Hello! I'm having a little bit of a breakout on my face because I've tried some new skincare stuff. Gotta love that. Gotta love that. Anyway, I just got off reading sprints with Christy for some Saturday night reading sprints. I didn't update you yesterday only because I really didn't have like a big update at all. But I am currently 50% into one of my books. Actually, let me see exactly how far. So I'm officially 51% into The Woman on Platform 2 by Laura Anthony, and this one is like, I'm pretty sure I told you what it was about, but it's 1970s in Dublin. They have like the Republic of Ireland and then Northern Ireland and like all the differences between that, married women, what they can and can't do, what they should and shouldn't do, all of that stuff, and I really find it interesting. And with this one, I'm actually really scared to continue. I'm not gonna lie, I'm really scared to continue because I feel very emotionally connected to the characters. So with this one, we go past to present, which I don't always like past to present, but with this one, the present times are like a break for you. It gives you like a little bit of a okay break, because the stuff that's happening in Dublin during the 70s, like the past that you're seeing between all the characters and all the women, it's really heavy. Like a lot of stuff is happening. It's very heavy topics. And I like that we get that little bit of a break, and you know, it's cool that the way that she's telling the story, and I really, really like it because of that. But like, Christy gave this book 5 stars. She said she sobbed through it, and I am already like, I teared up twice, and she's like, oh, just be ready, it's gonna get like so much more emotional. And I'm like, are you joking right now? Are you joking? I'm not ready for that. So I got through 51% yesterday while I was working and everything like that. Well, Thursday night while I was reading, and then Friday while I was working. And I'm just like really scared to continue. Honestly, I'm just terrified to continue this book because I'm like, I know it's gonna hit me. So I'm probably gonna read that later tonight and start that again. But I did get through like 31% through His Stolen Bride by Shelley Thacker. So this is my last book of the readathon. This is my 5th book. So I hopefully will finish books 4 and 5 tomorrow. By tomorrow, I should say, because tomorrow's our wrap-up live show. But this one is, it's Falcon on the Wind, so it's technically this book. Beautiful, beautiful book with the clinch cover. It's like a first edition because it has raised edges and stuff. But that one, but I'm reading it on KU because she edited it and stuff like that since then, which I think I told you guys. So this one, like I said, I'm 31% through, and it is like literally he goes when she's getting married. He like whisks her away, steals her away because he's a Scottishman and he wants, like, the Scots were trying to have like this peace treaty that they've had for 100 years with England to continue again, and he was ambushed. Like, all the Scotsmen were ambushed and they were killed, and he was the only surviving one. So he basically says, I'm gonna go to France to the king's like right-hand man, who's apparently getting married to this woman, and I'm gonna steal her away and we can use her to like bargain to get what we want, basically. And so he takes her and they're at this castle, and there's this like little caretaking scene right where that I just got to, and I love a good caretaking scene, especially in historical books, but historical romances particular, because one, it's always in a historical time, so everything is always heightened. Like, you know, they get cut by a sword, it could be like devastating in life and like life ending, you know what I mean? So I just find that like super just like intense, and that's kind of how the moment was. So like I'm intrigued by it. I don't know where it's gonna go, but I am still intrigued by reading it. Like, it hasn't like lost my attention. It took me a second to get into her writing because it's a very like flowery in the way that it's very wordy. Like, she likes to describe everything, like about the castle, about what she's wearing, about where they're going, all this stuff like that. And the accents, because it's like 1291 I think, or something like that, so it's definitely medieval times, so the way they talk is different. So I had to get used to that because I haven't read like a historical like that in a really long time. So yeah, that's my little bit of a check-in. So it's 9 o'clock. We did a little bit longer sprints, which was super nice, but I'm gonna go and just relax the rest of my Saturday and read some more. I do have to film tomorrow during the day, but I should have time to finish these 2 books. So my last update will be my last. Hello, happy Sunday. I'm here to close out my historical fiction readathon reading vlog for you guys. I'm gonna edit it and get it up for you tomorrow. Me and Christy just had our wrap up live show, and it was so much fun talking about the group book, talking about what everyone read. Like, it's just always so fun to sit and chat about books, about different books, about what we read, what we loved, what we didn't, all of that stuff. So if you've participated in the readathon, thank you so much for joining. And if you're just watching because you want to watch me talk about books, thank you for watching. Anyway, I have a reading update because I finished the Women on Platform 2 by Laura Anthony, and let me tell you, this is one of my favorite books of the year. I did not cry, which I'm very proud of. The Lexapro is Lexaproing, and I did not cry, but I think it was because I was experiencing like a wide range of emotion. Like, I was angry at the same time I was reading it, because the whole the amount of things I've highlighted about this book, like the quotes in this book of like it being basically your body, your choice to decide what you want to do, whether you want to take contraception or not, whether if you want to have kids or not, whether like all of these things, right? And I just found it really impactful considering what's happening in the US right now. Like, I could draw so many parallels, and as a woman it made me angry because I was like, these women in Dublin in 1970 have already gone through this, and like that's not even talking about what happened in the US of women and women's rights and during the 70s, 80s times too, of having Roe v. Wade and having access to contraception and safe abortions and all of this stuff like that. And like, not only just reading about this time in Dublin, I could see parallels during the same time that happened in America, but now it's like, once again, we're having this conversation of why legislation and or men can tell women what to do with their bodies. Like, the whole part of that was really, really just got me riled up. So while I love the book, it was a 5-star read, fan-freaking-tastic. I was like, hell yeah, I love this so much. I was also like, I'm angry and I want to go protest. Like, I just want to go scream at the world. Like, I'm also feeling that. So it was just an amazing book. Like, I want everyone to read it, especially if you are a woman. Doesn't matter if you want kids, if you don't want kids, if you're a mother, if you're not a mother, I don't care. Like, anything, I need you to read this book. Like, as someone who just doesn't want kids, contraception is my way to not have kids. Do we see the problem? Do we see the problem with that? Like, if that is taken away, my option of not wanting kids is also taken away. Like, my gosh. So yeah, that was really good. I will say I'm 80% through the Shelley Thacker book, so I will be finishing that today. It'll be included at my 5 books, my wrap up. I'm just gonna go lay down and read, but I wanted to edit this and close out my vlog for you guys. I'm landing at like a 3-star. I think a solid 3-star. These like old school historical romances, I love them because they're over the top. I love them because the hero's over the top, the female character's over the top, like everything is just over the top, and I really love it. Like it was such a fun read. I enjoyed it. Like it was just really fun. It just wasn't like anything spectacular. Like it kept my attention. I was intrigued. Like it's like a 3.5 stars, and I'm pretty much gonna land at that. I love reading my historical romance collection because technically it's this one, so I can say that I've read this one. It's like over the top. Like look how over the top that is. Come on. Anyway, that was very fun. But anyway, that is all I have for this reading vlog. I really hope you enjoyed. I love historical fiction. Me and Christy talked about doing like a spooky historical fiction, like gothic vibes, paranormally witchy, all of that in October, and I cannot wait for that. Like I'm all for that. Like we're definitely doing that. So yeah, if you've participated this time, thank you so much. Even if you just read one book, thank you so much. Thank you to everyone who joined reading sprints, all of that. If you made it this far and you want to let me know, leave me a clock emoji in the comments down below. Historical fiction time, all of that. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe for more content for me. As always, I hope you're living a novel life, and I will see you in my next one. Bye guys.